Hi Broncos, my name is Annika and I'm a copy editor for the Poly Post. For many college students, Write My Professors, the online review site, is the first place they stop when picking classes for the semester ahead. On this site, you can look up reviews for universities and faculty that have been written by students. For many, the site provides a sense of comfort for the semester ahead.
I remember for one of my classes when there was different professors teaching and I was kind of like, which one should I do? They looked up all of those and then based off of those ratings, like whoever had the highest rating I would usually go with.
In theory, Rate My Professors would greatly help students find courses that align with their learning styles and interests. However, the soft white underbelly of this site is bias. For many, the site is used to perpetuate unfair stereotypes, specifically in the sphere of gender.
Yeah, it boils down to gender stereotypes about what an authoritative and an authority figure should be. And it's almost like people latch on like mom and dad to either gender. So as a female professional, if you come across as too ambitious or too strict, then you're called the B word, you know? And so you're supposed to still fulfill like this nurturing role, even though that's not necessarily your professional role.
When reading these reviews, there must be an expectation of bias. Female professors are held to a higher standard than their male counterparts. Women are expected to be nurturers and educators, and when they're less emotional, that is often negatively reflected in their ratings.
So I think because of that assumption that a female professor has to be almost like mom and a nurturer, the moment they apply like stricter policies or they draw a boundary, then they're mean. Then they're out to get me.
Oftentimes, reviews can greatly impact the reputations of faculty. Whether positive or negative, student opinion plays a big role in the way professors are perceived for their whole careers. Negative student reviews can be just as damaging to morale as a negative comment on any social media platform, if not more so.
I think the last time I checked, Rate My Professor was like 10 years ago. And it was just too hurtful. Like that time when I checked it, I was gone for like a good month from my class because I couldn't get a visa to come back. And then I got stuck there because I couldn't get back because the government shut down. And then this person wrote, you know, she's such a stickler about attendance, but she couldn't even show up to her own classes. And it was so hurtful because it's like, you don't even know the ordeal that we went through as a family.
Old reviews, despite changes that professors may have made, still impact public perception. That being said, there are students who are aware of the unjust and cutthroat nature of Rate My Professors.
I've gone on Rate My Professor sometimes when I'm looking at the reviews, like let's say it's this year, and the reviews I'm looking at for a certain class were like from 21. That might not be that accurate because that was like 4 years ago, you know? So I think the only thing I would change is to hopefully have more recent reviews, and if it's too far in the future, I would say at least within like the last 5 years or so, probably just like delete those reviews, because if a professor has bad reviews from 10 years ago, but really good reviews from 5 years ago, it's like obviously they've changed. So I don't think it's really fair to the professor to, you know, have negative reviews that were so long ago, because at this point that really doesn't reflect who they are anymore.
It's always important to remember that opinions vary, and no singular review can fully represent a professor or a college course.
Typically, the students that are, quote, most passionate tend to write on forums like that, whether it's Rate My Professor, whether it's Slack channels, whether it's Discord, whether it's Reddit, subreddits. But I would really encourage everyone to take it with a grain of salt because they are very selective in what they are talking about oftentimes. Every person's perspective is unique.
In a world where knowledge is available with the tap of a button, it's easy to rely on online resources like Rate My Professor. Unfortunately, by doing so, it's easy to perpetuate stereotypes and unfair judgments. So take a risk and skip the reviews. When it comes to learning, the only accurate review will be the one you decide for yourself. This has been Annika with the Poly Post, and I'll see you next time.